أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وخاتم النبيين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tonight, inshallah, we're going to continue our discussion on our series of lessons on the issue of success. And last week, we talked a little bit about the issue of identity, what it means to say who we are, how we answer the question, who am I, and what it means to be ourselves at our core essence. And the summary of our discussion last week was that we, in essence, are Allah's servants. So if we identify as anything, we identify as servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When all of the superficial and secondary characteristics are stripped away from us, we are left with this one characteristic and trait, that we are Allah's servants. We are His creation. We are His servants insofar as there are certain things that we are compelled to obey, but yet at the same time there are certain things that are left to our discretion. Allah has given us a certain amount of free will so that we are able to perform certain actions, and we have the choice not to perform certain other actions. So there are certain things where Allah has given us the choice whether we want to perform them or not. Of course, we have a responsibility, we have obligations, we have rights upon us, we have responsibilities towards ourselves and towards others. So we are going to be held accountable for these choices that we make. So as Muslims, we accept that we are servants of Allah, and we should be striving to strengthen this identity that we have as Muslims, that we have as servants of Allah. And the stronger our identity, the more we are going to experience what we know as true success. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, verily the believers will be successful, the Muslims will be successful. Those who are true servants of Allah are going to be successful. So if we strengthen this identity as Muslims, as believers, as servants of Allah, we're going to have greater success, real success. And the expression of this identity of ours is going to differ depending on the situation. If we're in one situation, we express it one way. Another situation comes up, we have to express our identity in a different way. For example, sometimes a situation will call for us to say something where the truth will be hidden, the truth will be confused, falsehood will be spread. So it is our duty in this situation that if we want to express ourselves and show our identity as Allah's servants, then we have to speak the truth. And sometimes we have to act. Sometimes it is necessary for us to do something, not just say something, but also do something. Other times it becomes necessary in order for us to express our identity as servants of Allah, that we stay silent, because in those situations sometimes silence and avoidance of environments, avoidance of certain situations and certain people is the best way to show our faith. Sometimes we show who we are by where we show up, and other times we show who we are by where we don't go, by where we don't participate. And our identity as Allah's servants, as Muslims, will also reveal itself in our behavior with other people. So it becomes manifest. It becomes exposed when we help other people or we become indifferent to them. Whether we do one or the other is going to show what our true identity is. And the expression of our faith and the expression of our identity also involves our emotions. Of course, our words and our actions, but also our emotions. So if I have spiritually trained myself, then my automatic reaction to what happens around me will be the proper reaction. You see, sometimes something happens around us and we automatically react. Whether we want to or we don't want to, there's a certain reaction that we have. Now, is this the proper reaction or is this the wrong reaction? Or even if it's a proper reaction, is it the best reaction that we can exhibit at that time? So if I have trained myself spiritually, then those automatic, immediate reactions that I have will be the proper reactions. And if my reactions and if my attitudes are inappropriate, they are wrong for the situation, then I should focus on practicing self-control. Meaning that when something happens, an event occurs, instead of allowing my immediate reaction to come forth, I have to practice self-control so that I can make sure that my reaction is correct and then I can express it. So this self-control and reacting appropriately is not going to happen until we form a habit of thinking, a habit of thought, a habit of deliberation, meaning we stop, even if it's for a split second, we think about what we're going to feel, what we're going to say, what we're going to do, and then we decide whether it's right or wrong, good or bad, harmful or negative for us to do it, and then we go ahead with it or we avoid it. So this thinking should be the first step in everything that we do. It's narrated that Imam Ali alayhi salam has said in Nahjul Balagha that the tongue of the wise person is behind his heart and the heart of the fool is behind his tongue. Now what does this mean? The heart is used for intellect, for reasoning, for the spirit and the soul. So it is used for our reasoning capacity. It is used for our judgment. So what this means is that if we are wise, then our tongue and our speech is going to be behind our heart, meaning it's going to follow the heart. It will follow the intellect. It will follow our judgment, which is based on reasoning. But if unfortunately a person acts in a foolish way, it means that that person's heart follows their tongue, meaning they say whatever they want without thinking. So we want our thinking to gain control over our instincts and over our automatic reactions. And at first, thinking before acting is something that we have to consciously perform. Meaning I have to plan for it. I have to focus on it. I have to concentrate and meditate on it to make sure that I think before I act. I have to think about it hard to make sure that I think before I speak. So if I keep doing this, I keep practicing this, eventually the thinking itself becomes an instinct. The thinking itself becomes a habit for us so that we no longer have to think about thinking. So that when an event occurs, before I may have reacted in a certain way, but now my immediate reaction is going to go through the filter of my reasoning and my judgment. So we should think before we act. We should think before we speak. We should think before we feel. We should think before we show emotions. We should think before even our facial expressions change. For example, I may want to smile at something. Something happens, I might want to smile. But smiling could be the inappropriate response to that. Because I might inadvertently smile at someone else's misfortune. Someone is hurt, someone is humiliated, and I might smile at that. So I have to control myself. I might want to laugh at something vulgar. Somebody says a very, very dirty joke. Somebody does something disgusting. And at one point, a person may want to laugh at that. But they have to control themselves to see that this is not a situation to laugh. And if they first think about the situation, they'll realize that that emotion is the wrong emotion to have, and they will control themselves and conform to the right emotion. So this same process can repeat itself. It can happen for anger, it can happen for irritation, for boredom, or for any other emotion that a person has. For example, I may become angry at someone for doing the right thing. They do something good and I become angry. Why? Because I have to correct myself. I might become bored with an obligatory obligation. I have to perform my prayers. But while I'm performing my prayers, I have this feeling of boredom. So I have to control this emotion. Or I might become irritated at someone giving me good advice. So in all of these situations, before I show these emotions of anger or irritation or boredom, I have to make sure that I filter it through my reasoning and my intellect before I go ahead and show these emotions. Now, from a narrower perspective, these may seem like small, trivial behaviors that don't require self-control, because a person could say that these are simply natural reactions that the person has and they really don't mean anything. But this is being short-sighted, is having a narrow perspective of our development as human beings. Because our character, our behavior, and our habits, they're not developed just by physical actions, but our words, our emotions, our attitudes, all of these are just as important in making ourselves into the people that we want to be. Because ultimately these words, these emotions, these attitudes that we have, these are going to lead to physical actions. The way that I feel is the way that I will act. The way that I believe is the way that I'm going to act out in the real world. And one of the ways that we can think of this soul that we have, this nafs, we could consider it as a house. Just as we build a house into the house that we want for ourselves, we can build the soul into the spirit and character that we want for ourselves. And just as a house has different rooms, and a house has different doors to those rooms, within our soul there are different doors. So for example, there's a door to our belief, there's a door of action, there's a door of emotion, there's a door of speech, and so on. Before we get to any one of these doors, there must be a door of reasoning. This is where thought and deliberation happen. So before I feel, before I speak, before I act, I should use my intellect to determine whether I actually have the right feelings, whether I want to say the right words, or whether I'm about to perform the right action. So everything has to pass through this door of reasoning first, and then it can go to these other doors. And this house that we're trying to build, we need this house to be strong. Just as we look at a soul as a house, we can look at the traumatic and catastrophic events that happen in our lives as earthquakes and storms and hurricanes. Just as a storm in real life can destroy that physical house, these traumatic life events can shake the house of our soul. And if this spiritual house is strong, then we will still go through that door of reasoning before we get to any of the other doors. So that even when times are very tough in life, we're going through great hardship, we're still going to have good judgment. But if this house, the spiritual house, is weak, then those life events are going to make us crumble. Then our feelings, and then our words, and then our actions are going to pour out of us without any thought about whether what we're doing or saying or feeling is right or wrong. The Prophet ﷺ, he isn't just a house, but he is a city. As you know, the Prophet ﷺ has said, "Ana madinatul ilm wa aliyun babuha." He says, I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its door. So likewise, we must decide what kind of houses our souls are. The Prophet ﷺ, he's not just one house, but he is an entire city. So we have to decide what kind of house we want to build for ourselves within our souls. Is my soul a house of Allah? Is it Baytullah? Or is it a house for something other than Allah? And like the Prophet ﷺ, we need a door to our souls that is going to make him proud. Who is the door to his city? Imam Ali alayhi salam. So what should our door be to our souls? So when we express our identity in the world, we should make sure that we do it in such a way that people recognize that we are followers of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So that the door to our soul and our spiritual house should be the love of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And as these are the days of the shahadat, the martyrdom of our sixth Imam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, there are two narrations that are narrated from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam that we're going to relate. One is in connection with both in connection to our discussion, but the first one is very poignant to what we have just mentioned. There's a narration that is attributed to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam in which he says that the heart is the sanctuary of Allah. So do not place anything in the sanctuary of Allah other than Allah. So this spiritual house that we have, this should house Allah, and it should house those things which are associated with Allah. Love of God, love of the Prophet, love of the Ahlul Bayt, love of virtue, and so on. The other narration is from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, in which he says that our followers are those who are happy in our happiness and they are sad in our grief. So not only should our beliefs and our actions and our words align with the beliefs, actions and words of the infallibles, but our emotions and our attitudes as well. Sometimes these are issues that we forget to think about, that we forget to correct, that we forget to refine. We consider them as trivial in compared to the actions that we perform in life, but these emotions and attitudes that we have, our likes and our dislikes, our preferences and what we are averse to, all of these are just as important. So as Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, our followers are those who are happy in our happiness. So when the Imam is pleased with an action, when he is pleased with a situation, when he is pleased with an environment, that is the action and the place that we want to associate with. And whatever they are displeased with, whatever makes them sad, whatever makes them angry, we should align our emotions with their emotions. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين.